Greetings and welcome to the Reparenting Daily podcast. In this podcast, we'll dive deep into reparenting, exploring all of the tools and resources that you'll need to help you along your journey. This podcast is divided into 3 sections. The first is a daily reading. The second is a discussion of the reading, followed by suggested journal prompts. And the last section is a peaceful meditation for closing. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from whenever and wherever you're joining us. I'm so glad you've joined us today on this journey of self-expansion and growth. If this is your first time here, welcome. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe this podcast wherever you're listening, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Your help here really makes a huge difference in allowing us to spread the word and build a more supportive community as we continue with our self-reparenting. Now, before we get started, I have some quick updates for you. First, I'd like to introduce our Patreon community. Here, for a small monthly fee, you can join us for 3 weekly meetings for additional support with your reparenting journey. On Sundays, we have a meditation group. On Tuesdays, we have a book club discussion. And on Thursdays, we have open topic conversations. You can find out more details about this if you go to the Reparenting Daily website and check out on the community tab. In addition to that, we also have a WhatsApp group to foster more daily connection and support for whenever you need it. And this is a community of fellow travelers from around the world who will always be there when help is needed. It's just one of the many ways that we're building our network of resources that are really going to help support your reparenting journey. For the next update, I'm very excited to announce that I've just released some first books. The first is probably the most important, and it's called the Reparenting Daily Journal. Now, this journal is a daily guide for 365 days of the year. We'll be starting in 2025, and basically each month corresponds to a theme in reparenting, and each week of each month corresponds to a sub-theme of the monthly theme. Now, from the beginning of the year, 2025, each daily episode will correspond with the themes in the daily workbooks. And so you can use this as a guide to work through your reparenting journey to stay focused, ensuring that you cover all of the most critical areas within a year's time. And again, this will be aligning up with the podcast, so you can use both of these to make a more engaging and interactive experience. This is ensuring that you really book progress on your reparenting journey. The next set of books I've written is called Fairy Tales for Reparenting. This is a collection of 3 books that contain short stories or fairy tales inspired from Jungian analysis, mythology, philosophy, and psychology that really is targeted to helping you connect to your inner child. And so these stories are very short. They're not very long. They're written in a very simple manner so that it's not too taxing on you, so you can more easily connect with the joy and fun of your inner child. More interestingly, however, is that at the end of each story, there's an analysis section that really analyzes the main themes and concepts within each story to provide encouragement and inspiration. Additionally, you will find corresponding journal prompts after each story and each analysis section to help you reflect deeper on how the themes of each fairy tale can be reflected and correspond to your own personal journey as you work towards self-expansion. You can find all of these books now available on Amazon, so go ahead and give us a look and give us some support. And as I've mentioned before, this entire process of reparenting and self-expansion is really about growth, iterative change, and continuous improvement. Much like the process of nurturing the bonsai tree, our reparenting journey requires our consistency and care. So many thanks for being here and for supporting this project, and also to committing on your journey of self-expansion. Now, without further ado, let's dive into today's practice. Today's reading is an article from Psych Central. It's entitled 8 Ways to Accept Yourself. Just as a reminder, we're in February, and the theme of this month is self-compassion and self-kindness. We are in week 3, February 15th until the 21st, and the theme in this week is cultivating inner warmth and self-acceptance. 8 ways to accept yourself. Learning to be okay with all the pieces of you can be hard, but with some practice, you can learn the art of self-acceptance. While there will always be ways to improve and better ourselves, in the end, we are who we are. After all, Who doesn't have good qualities they're proud of and flaws they couldn't do without? And we each experience success or failure at different times in our lives. Learning to accept yourself for who you are can bring peace and calm into your life. How to accept yourself. Number 1, forgive yourself. Number 2, practice self-compassion. Number 3, use present moment awareness and mindfulness. Number 4, acknowledge and love your abilities. Number 5, ignore your inner critic. Number 6, connect with loved ones who appreciate you. Number 7, move on from disappointments. Number 8, gain perspective on your limitations. Self-esteem differs from self-acceptance. Self-esteem is referring to having confidence in your qualities or abilities. A person with higher self-esteem might feel worthy of good and positive experiences and feel able to handle difficult situations. In a study in 2017, based on data from 201 adolescents, researchers observed that a person's self-esteem was linked to them having fewer symptoms of anxiety, depression, and attention problems. While self-esteem and self-acceptance are connected, self-acceptance refers to the act of embracing every aspect of who you are, strengths and weaknesses. You might think of it this way. Self-esteem is the quality of fuel you use, and self-acceptance is how you drive on that tank of fuel. Why is it so hard to accept yourself? From the moment we're born, how we fit in the world is determined and highly influenced by our caregivers. This gives them a lot of power in terms of how we understand and see ourselves. For instance, if your caregiver encouraged, loved, and accepted you, your self-acceptance will often be much different from a child who experienced the opposite. When we start school, we're measured by how well we perform on tests and in class, as well as how we assimilate with our peers. All this can contribute to self-worth and acceptance. As we get older, life circumstances, relationships, and how we're treated by others can influence how readily we accept ourselves. It can be hard for many of us to accept ourselves if, number 1, diversity, equity, and inclusion are low where you live. Number 2, imposter syndrome has been a play in your life. Number 3, you've engaged in harmful behaviors that had consequences. And number 4, trauma has made it difficult to embrace your past or present. No matter how your self-acceptance was shaped up to this point, there are practical ways to work on accepting yourself now, just as you are. How to start loving and accepting yourself. There are several ways you can work on self-acceptance. Try self-forgiveness. If you've hurt people in the past or acted in ways you're not proud of, forgiving yourself can feel hard. But doing so does not mean you condone your behavior. Instead, it means you accept what you've done, take responsibility, and are giving yourself permission to move on. One approach some therapists use to help people with self-forgiveness incorporate responsibility, remorse, restoration, and renewal. Practice self-compassion. Self-compassion involves giving yourself the warmth and understanding during difficult times or when you simply feel inadequate. Some ways to practice self-compassion include talking to yourself like you would a friend, writing down how you'd like to help yourself, putting your situation in perspective, or engaging in self-care such as meditation, exercise, or healthy eating. Leaning into mindfulness. While we can often not control life circumstances, it is possible to wake up each day to live more mindfully. For instance, each night, you might try creating a purpose for the following day. Something as simple as setting a time to wake up and going for a walk before you work can give you some direction. If you want to tackle a bigger purpose like finding your dream job, you might try adding in a job search or updating your resume to the day. That's the reading for today. As you continue, there are many more sections, so I do encourage you to check out the remainder of the article. Thanks for being here. Welcome back. Now, this reading is important for reparenting self-expansion and overcoming trauma because it highlights how self-acceptance is a foundational aspect of healing and growth. Many individuals who need reparenting were conditioned to believe that love and acceptance had to be earned through perfection, obedience, or achievement. As a result, they may struggle with self-criticism, feelings of unworthiness, or the inability to embrace their true selves. Reparenting requires creating a nurturing internal environment where self-acceptance replaces harsh judgment. By practicing self-forgiveness, self-compassion, and mindfulness, individuals can begin to heal from past wounds and shift from self-rejection to self-love. This transformation is crucial in overcoming trauma because it allows the person to acknowledge their experiences, release shame, and cultivate inner safety, leading to emotional resilience and deeper self-trust. Beyond healing, self-acceptance is essential for self-expansion and personal growth. Many people believe that self-improvement comes from being hard on themselves. But in reality, growth flourishes in an environment of self-compassion. When we accept all aspects of ourselves, both strengths and perceived flaws, we are more open to new experiences, challenges, and opportunities. Overcoming trauma also requires self-acceptance, as many trauma survivors struggle with feelings of self-blame, guilt, or rejection of their past selves. By leaning into mindfulness and acknowledging our abilities and quieting our inner critic, we create the space for self-discovery and self-expansion. Accepting ourselves fully allows us to move forward with confidence and take risks without the fear of failure, and build meaningful connections without fear of rejection. Ultimately, self-acceptance liberates us from the constraints of our past, making room for joy, authenticity, as well as growth. As we move on to the journal prompts today, number 1, what part of myself do I struggle to accept? And how might these struggles be connected to my past experiences or upbringing? Number 2, how has self-acceptance or a lack of it influenced my ability to grow and expand in different areas of my life? And number 3, if I fully embrace self-acceptance, how would my thoughts, actions, and relationships change? What is one small step I can take today towards greater self-acceptance? Thanks for being here. That's it for today. As always, take care of yourself and be well. Welcome back. Now, this is the third and final section of the daily podcast. This is your silent meditation. Please find a place where you can be comfortable and undisturbed, where you can relax and spend some time with yourself for this 10-minute silent meditation. You can choose to be sitting, standing, lying down, or in whatever position makes you comfortable today. Just take some time to listen to yourself. Next, be sure that you are taking some time to be with your breath to connect with your body. Don't be disturbed or overwhelmed by your thoughts. Simply allow them to pass. Just observe them. Do not engage with your thoughts. Only be mindful of them passing, as if they are drifting down a river. Use this time to connect with yourself. Whatever time of day you are listening to this, namaste.